has become very busy in together with Palestinian state and other Arab states in preparing a Gaza reconstruction future plan. That plan doesn't only include a physical reconstruction, but also a proposition for security and governance. And we cannot have any better person other than Minister Badr Abdul-Latif to really tell us where are we on reconstruction plan, what it entails, and how is it seen by the other side.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, my dear brother, my dear Minister Hakan Fidan. It's always a great pleasure to be here in Turkey, and we are very appreciative for the kind invitation. And I believe that it's timely to have such kind of discussions within this Antalya Diplomacy Forum on this very important issue. It's indeed a matter of urgency now to focus on the implementation of the Arab and Muslim reconstruction and the early recovery plan, which is now endorsed by 57 Arab and Muslim countries, as well as a lot of international players, including the European Union and others. So we are realistic. We do understand that implementation of this important plan is, of course, depending on having an immediate ceasefire. Ceasefire is very important in order to allow us to convene our international Cairo conference for the early recovery and the reconstruction of Gaza. And that's why we are moving and pushing very hard with Qatar, with the United States, in order to conclude a deal which will secure the release of some of the hostages and some of the detainees in return of having a period of calm and entry of humanitarian and medical aid into Gaza, and that should lead to sustainable ceasefire and to start a negotiation for the second phase of the ceasefire agreement, which was approved and signed on January 19th. Hopefully, with the ceasefire, we will convene the Cairo conference on 2 days in full cooperation with the international community, with the United Nations and its specialized agencies on 2 days. 1 day will be dedicated to 4 workshops, one dealing with the role of private sector, one will deal with the issue of governance and security, one will deal with the early with the Palestinian Authority, with the Palestinian government, with the UN, in order to move forward and to make this reconstruction plan applicable on the ground through having executive implementation plan in full cooperation with the Palestinian Authority. This is what we are trying to do. In order, the main objective is, of course, to enable the Palestinian people to stay in their home because there is no legal or moral or whatever justification to push them out of their homeland, either under the title of what's so-called the voluntary displacement or forced displacement, or for temporary period of time or for permanent period of time. All names, all slogans which will deprive people from staying on their homeland is absolutely, as we always saying in Jordan, in Egypt, red lines for us, and we will not allow this to happen. So this is what we are This is what we are trying to do in full cooperation with our friends in the United States, with Qatar, with the international community, and that's why it was very important, timely meeting to have for the Arab and the Muslim Ministerial Committee to meet today, and then to meet with the extended international partners from Europe, from Russia, from China. So that's why we are grateful for Turkey for having this meeting. So we will continue to work on that, and we are in the final stage of preparations with United Nations and of course with all stakeholders and our partners in the Palestinian government and authority in order to be well prepared as soon as we have a ceasefire. We will have the conference and then we will make it applicable on the ground. As you all know, we have 3 stages: early recovery, first phase of reconstruction, and second phase of the reconstruction with specific time frames and cost for each one. We will push, we will do our best, of course, to make it happening on the ground. And of course, issues related to governance and security. We are very serious. We are talking with the Palestinians, with the Arab partners, with the Muslim partners, with the international partners in order to address issues related to the day after in Gaza. Who will run Gaza? We have a clear answer and an understanding, as we always saying, an administrative temporary committee consists of 15 persons, all independent, all technocrats, all from Gaza, none affiliated to factions, will run Gaza for 6 months under the full cooperation and control of the Palestinian government. And that during this 6 months period, the Palestinian Authority will be empowered in order to be fully deployed in Gaza, to run Gaza from the security point of view, from the daily life point of view, from everything related to governing Gaza, and in order to guarantee and assure the unity between Gaza and the West Bank. The same for security, and we have a vision, we have a specific ideas for the security. Who will take care of security? The answer is very clear: the Palestinian themselves, and that's why we are empowering the Palestinian policemen, providing training and recruiting new members in order to be deployed in Gaza to take care of the law and order and security in Gaza. And of course, we are standing ready for deployment of an international force, protection, peacekeeping, whatever we call it, to be there in order to provide security and protection for the Palestinians, and of course, to move forward with having a political horizon which will lead to the realization of the Palestinian state. Let me conclude by saying that no peace, no security for Israel, for any country in the region, without finding a final solution of the Palestinian cause based on the approved, agreed international parameters, and the realization of the Palestinian state on the lines of the 4th of June, 1967, with East Jerusalem as its capital. This is the only guarantee to have peace and stability in our neighborhood.
Thank you, Badr. Thank you. You are excused. You have some other appointments to attend, but you are saving yourself from the questions.
He answered all the questions.
Yeah. He answered all the questions. Well, as Badr explained to us, there is one danger here. No matter what answers we give for the ceasefire or future of Gaza governance or reconstruction, it's not finding any echo or reasonable reaction from the other side. The reason is, as the time has been showing us, they have no intention of actually seeing the Palestinian people in Palestine. So any proposal to have a ceasefire or to bring an alternative order and services to Gaza or the West Bank is not welcomed by Israel, because they want a Palestinian territory without Palestinians. And they are not shy of displaying this policy. So in the light of this development, I like to turn to Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa. He is someone that I really admire very much. No matter the circumstances are difficult, he has an excellent work ethic and enthusiasm, and he's trying to keep West Bank together by delivering basic services, by finding finance, and by really attending every daily business of the Palestinian people. So, dear friend, how is the situation in West Bank now? You know, we are paying a lot of attention to what's happening in Gaza and the genocide in Gaza, but at the same time, we know that there is another series of crimes taking place in West Bank. So what is the situation in West Bank through your eyes? How optimistic are you for the future of Palestine? And what else can be done to advance the agenda of two-state solution?
Thank you very much, my friend. I really appreciate your hospitality and your leadership and the meeting earlier today. I think it was a very well run, a very effective meeting, came at the right time, but also we're pleased to be part of the ADF this year and be contributing to that. So thank you for the opportunity. The future of Palestine, I'll start from there, if I may. The future of Palestine will be bright. As long as we have people on the ground that love their country as we do, they are so resilient, you can be hopeful. So displacement is a threat, destruction is a threat, wars are a threat, settlements are threats, economic sanctions and economic hardship is a threat, but our people will prevail. Our people will prevail. Having said that, I think when the Gaza war started, we always said that the war did not start on October 7th. Our people in Palestine have been subject to all sorts of wars, displacements, destruction, hunger, whatever you want to call it, for 77 years, since 1948. So we had no illusions that what's happening in Gaza is just another chapter in this long journey for independence for Palestine and for peace and security for the region. So we have no illusions that this is just another war. Therefore, we have acted responsibly so that we not only try to protect our people in Gaza, but also try to stabilize the situation in the West Bank. So while the war in Gaza continued, unfortunately, our people in West Bank, especially in the refugee camps of the West Bank, have been a subject of Israeli illegal actions, displacement again within the West Bank from refugee camps to cities, and financial siege in order to make things difficult for people to stay and live in West Bank, especially in addition to refugee camps, especially in East Jerusalem. There are all kinds of hardship facing our people in Jerusalem. So the Israeli efforts to undermine our presence as Palestinians in the West Bank has always been there, but clearly been more clear in the last few months. I think more than 60,000 Palestinians have been displaced from refugee camps in the West Bank. More than 200,000 people were kicked out of their work in Israeli companies. There have been 900 checkpoints established within the West Bank to prevent movement and access of people and goods, make life miserable and difficult. So all these efforts add up to one thing. They do want to see Palestinians in their land. That's what it is, whether it's in Gaza or in the West Bank. The objective is the same. They do want to see Palestinians stay on their homes, demand their independence day after day, and so on. So the good news, and that's why I'm so optimistic, is that despite of all of this, our people are staying the course, continuing with their struggle for independence. And we will protect our land, we will protect our future by sitting on our land, in our country, whatever it takes. So, having said that, I just want to add something, that although things are difficult, although we as a Palestinian government are committed to continue to do everything we can to prevent displacement, to prepare a better future for our people in Gaza, but also to pursue the objective of independent state, we should not forget to thank all the friends and partners in the region and around the world who have been consistently supportive of our cause. The good news is, despite what the Israeli side is doing, there is 149 countries around the world recognize Palestine as a state. And that's important. That's important. So we will stay the course, but I want to take this opportunity to thank Turkey specifically for the good work that the President Erdogan, the government, and yourself, of course, my friend, for all the good work you are doing to support our people.
Well, thank you very much, dear friend. You know, from your statement, it's very clear that you are again and again exposing one clear fact, that Israel's main objective is to make the entire Palestinian territory a place where no one can live. Yes. Hard methods, soft methods, war, blockade, whatever measure necessary to make the Palestinian territory unlivable, they are taking. So it is taking place in the eyes of entire world. So it is our primary duty to first expose this and to develop action against this and to take measure against this. Now, speaking of all the actions and measures, we have a distinct guest here, Foreign Minister of Jordan. Jordan, as you know, has been a part of regional and international, all the efforts when it comes to Palestine. And my dear friend, Ayman al-Safadi, personally, for the last 2 years, I have the privilege of working together with him in many international meetings and events just to defend the Palestine. So he is very knowledgeable about it, and he is very much active. So I want to ask him, through Jordan's eyes, I know that you have a specific responsibility for Masjid al-Aqsa too, and you are very close to West Bank, and you have already declared a red line for some scenarios, for future scenarios of West Bank. So when you look at overall what's happening in Gaza and the ambitions towards West Bank, and how do you see it, and how our work collectively on contact group together can be more effective, more institutionalized through our work, please.
Good evening to you all, and thank you, dear brother Hakan, for hosting us today, and I want to congratulate you on the success of this really amazing forum. And I want to stress again that we've been working together as partners with a view to achieving our common goal of achieving justice, ending the oppression of the Palestinian people, and setting our region on a course towards a future of peace, stability, and security for all. So again, I recognize the importance of our partnership, and I thank you for your efforts, dear brother. Look, I think this is a friendly audience that really knows everything that's happening in the region, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining what's happening in terms of the immediate, but I must say that we've got to, right now, identify our priorities. And the number one priority is to stop the carnage, stop the madness, stop the brutal killing of Palestinians and the destruction of Gaza, because that is going unabated, despite our continuous efforts, not just as a group, but also among many others of our partners, to bring this brutal war to an end. We have not been able to do so. The amount of destruction is beyond description, and I think facts speak to themselves in terms of the number of Gazans killed, numbers of children killed, numbers of hospitals destroyed. I think that has crossed the record of any other conflict in modern history. As you said, we in Jordan are the closest to the Palestinians, and the Palestinian issue remains to be at the forefront of our priorities, working with our brothers and partners to try and bring an end to the conflict. And I think we've got to look at the bigger picture and really assess the strategic danger that we see happening here. If you look at Israeli policies across the region, from Gaza, West Bank, Lebanon, and Syria, I think we'll see a pattern of Israel escalating under false pretenses to try and achieve its own strategic objective of expanding their territory at the expense of neighboring Arab countries. And that's something that we have to watch very, very carefully. What is it that Israel wants, and what is it that we can do to stop it from achieving it? And I think key to this is really exposing the policies of Israel, showing the long-term devastating consequences of its policies, not just on us in the region, but also in the Arab and Muslim wars, but also in Israel itself. Because I think by now, decades into the conflict, everybody knows that unless we solve the root cause of conflict, which is the Israeli occupation of Palestine, the denial of the Palestinian people of their right to freedom and safety and justice and statehood, the region will never enjoy security. And war will continue to be a shadow hanging over our region. That has been the history. So I think now the focus must be on ending the war, saving people. Imagine that since March the 2nd, not a single piece of bread has been allowed to over 2 million Palestinians who've already lost their homes and their schools and their streets and their clinics, everything. So how is denying people their basic right to food a self-defense act? How is this investment in the security of Israel, or even in the future of Israel in the region? These are the hard facts that we know, but these are the hard facts that we've been working collectively together in the group to expose to the world and to explain that there is a false Israeli narrative out there that is distorting facts, and that's sowing the seed of future conflict in the region. And it's not what we in the committee have been doing or not doing that's really the reason for why this carnage and this brutality is continuing. We in the group are very unequivocal about what we want. We want to end the conflict, the war in Gaza. We want to solve the Palestinian-Israeli conflict on the basis of the two-state solution that will guarantee security, stability for all in the region, and that a sovereign, independent Palestinian state would live in peace and security alongside a secure Israel as well. That's been our proposition. That has been our plan for decades. What do we hear from Israel? And ask any Israeli officials, what is your vision for beyond the immediate wars that, and I say wars in the plural because we see what's happening in the West Bank, we see what's happening in Syria as well. And we will not get the answer. And this is the message with which we need to go, armed with facts, to the world and say, we want peace, but in order for peace to last, it has to be just. And in order for the peace to be just, it has to fulfill the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people to freedom and statehood. Nobody is looking the long term, but there are over 500,000 boys and girls in Gaza who haven't gone to school for the last 2 years. What kind of future awaits these? How is Israel going to achieve security if the Palestinian people continue to suffer destruction and continue to have their rights exposed? And we can go into Syria later and what's happening there, but ultimately the message from us in the region is that we want peace, we have a plan for peace, but we don't have a partner in the current Israeli government, and we're really all looking forward to being able to take our plan further, share it with the rest of the world, including with the United States, which is a key partner to all of us, particularly now that we have an American president, President Trump, who says he wants to make peace. And we are partners in that effort to make peace. And I think it's our job to explain that in order for that peace to happen, the Palestinians have to have their state and have to have their freedom to live side by side, Israel and peace and security. But I think we cannot continue as an international community to have the future of the region taken hostage to the ideology of the Israeli Prime Minister and to the radical extremist ministers in his government. Not only is he taking the future of the region hostage, he's taken even the future of his people hostage at the expense, in order for him to serve his political interest and for the ideologues in his government to serve that ideology. That is not the right thing. That is not going to produce peace. That's not going to produce security. And I think even Israelis themselves should ask themselves, what kind of future do they want to have? How are they going to navigate the oceans of hatred and dehumanization that the continuation of the war is creating in the region? We want to live in peace. We want all of us to live in peace, but there's only one path to that peace: ending the occupation, fulfilling the rights of Palestinians to freedom and statehood, so that a Palestinian state again would live side by side, Israel and peace and security.
Thank you, Ayman. After our opening remarks, I would like to open the floor to the audience for Q&A, and we have almost 10 minutes, a little bit more than 10 minutes. So who would like to ask the questions? Lady over there, please. Mikrofon yok mu arkadaşlar? A mic, please. Please try to shout.
Yeah, I will shout. Okay. Thank you so much, Ministers. Lizzie Porter, correspondent for the National newspaper. I'll shout even louder. Lizzie Porter, the National newspaper, Istanbul correspondent. I have a question about the Egyptian Foreign Minister's remarks about training a Palestinian police force. Who is doing that training, and is there a sort of timeline after the ceasefire?
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, okay. Yes. So the question is about the Egyptian Foreign Minister's remarks about training a Palestinian police force for Gaza. Who is doing that training, and is there a sort of timeline after the ceasefire for deploying them? In what sort of form would they be deployed? Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think our Egyptian colleague was trying to address the various components of what a successful plan for reconstruction would be, and any plan for the future of Gaza, which, of course, after achieving the priority of ending the war in Gaza right now, will have to stand on 4 legs: humanitarian, early recovery and reconstruction, governance, security, and political horizon. Because without any of that, we're really not going to be able to have the ecosystem that would allow us to get out of this misery into a better future. In relation to the security aspect, there are a lot of aspects to that. We have to be able to develop a complete security structure that will ensure that Gaza is safe, and we have a convincing security plan there. Part of it is the training of Palestinian police, And I think both in Egypt and Jordan, we said we are ready to train Palestinian police. In Jordan, we've already trained police from the West Bank over the years. Egypt has trained police for Gaza. So in the context of that comprehensive plan that would allow us to move forward, whatever it takes to be able to ensure conditions of security.
So you've just been hearing there from a number of foreign ministers from the Gaza Contact Group speaking on the future of Gaza and Palestine, reiterating much of what they have been saying in terms of confronting Israel, protecting Palestinians and working towards peace. This was chaired, of course, by the Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan. Let's bring in our correspondent Asli Atbas, who is at the Antalya Diplomacy Forum. Asli.
Yes, no Palestinian land without Palestinians. I think that was the message coming out of this forum, this panel by the foreign ministers of the Gaza Contact Group, who also had a meeting earlier today here in Antalya, just ahead of the opening speeches of the forum. And what we have heard from these ministers is that they are working on a detailed plan to ensure peace and safety in Gaza that they are ready to implement anytime if, of course, Israel stops its attacks. They said the priority is to stop the bloodshed, to ensure a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. And they were also talking about the suffering of 2 million people who are in need of urgent food. Some of the ministers mentioned that kids, children in Gaza who couldn't go to school for the past 2 years. And these people are already displaced. They have lost their homes and they couldn't find a piece of bread in the past 2 years, they say. Now, to be able to ensure peace and stability, this group of foreign ministers of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and the Arab League, what's called as the Gaza Contact Group, was established back in November 2023. And over the past 1.5 years, they have been holding meetings all over the world. This is their first meeting here in Türkiye and their 20th meeting indeed. So they have mentioned this solidarity between them, and they have actually congratulated each other for their efforts to be able to bring peace in the region. Not only that, but to also deliver urgent needed humanitarian aid to the besieged enclave of Gaza.
All right, Asli Atbas, live for us there at the Antalya Diplomacy Forum. We're going to continue with the forum now, where Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto is speaking at one of the ADF talks session. Let's listen to that.
Together with the UAE, we have a medical field hospital. We are participating in that, and we are committed also to build another hospital in Palestine, in West Bank, maybe also in Gaza. And I've already announced that we are willing to accept wounded civilians that need medical care, also children and young students who have not gone to school for many years. We are willing to give them scholarships. And we already have some Palestinian students already, but not enough, but we are willing to increase that. And of course, after they complete their education and they complete their medical treatment, I mean, they must return to their homeland. So Indonesia, we are trying to convince everybody that the only real solution, a permanent solution, will come only by a two-state solution with an independent Palestine. But I also said that at that time we must also satisfy the concerns of the Israelis. They also must be guaranteed their right for security, their right of existence. And so I think in the end there should be peaceful collaboration. I think that is the key to a real peace.
Yes, and we know that your continued support of the Indonesian hospital in Gaza has been key to providing life-saving medical services in the enclave. Now, if I could turn to the Indo-Pacific region, we know the region is increasingly becoming a stage for great power rivalry, a potential flashpoint. As a leading voice in ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, how does Indonesia plan to manage these tensions while also working with ASEAN to keep the region peaceful and stable?
Yes, you know, as many times in many different fora, in many different instances, I said that our only way is engagement. Engagement and mutual respect. So in the end, I always propose collaboration. We have sometimes conflicting territorial claims. This is natural because we have been subjugated to many centuries of foreign domination, of colonialism, of imperialism. Some countries from somewhere came, they seem to like the wealth of some of our regions, and they say, okay, now this is ours. And they put up their flag. You see, so after a long period of struggle against colonialization and imperialism, most of the countries in our region achieved independence. But still the leftover of those centuries, you know, boundaries which are not clear, etc., etc., they are now the heritage given to us that we have to clear up all this mess. So we succeeded in cooperation with Vietnam. We have, I don't know, several decades of territorial claims and counterclaims, but we have resolved it a few months ago. I'm proposing also to my good friend and my good brother, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, let's solve the outstanding issues that we have with Malaysia. I also proposed joint development with the People's Republic of China, President Xi. You know, we respect each other's legal position, but in the meantime, why don't we work together, right? We have overlapping maritime areas, zones. For instance, the PRC claim historically for thousands of years, Chinese fishermen have fished in those waters. And we claim for thousands of years, Indonesian fishermen have fished in those waters. So I said to President Xi, why don't we have joint development? You know, let's register how many hundreds of Chinese vessels, how many hundreds of Indonesian vessels, within the framework of the international limitations so that we don't have overfishing. Let's give licenses and everybody benefit. So I told everybody that 100% of zero is zero. So might as well work together in the meantime. And President Xi agreed. In fact, he agreed very fast. I proposed this to the Vietnamese, I proposed this to the Malaysians. So this is my approach. Let us work together to achieve common prosperity. Every race, every country, every religion in the world aspire to the same thing. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. Everybody needs the basics. Prosperity, there is no prosperity without peace. So this is my approach.
Now, becoming president was a hard-fought battle for you. You pointed out that you contested several elections before finally winning last year. Now that you are leader, what is your vision for Indonesia, a nation of more than 280 million people, highly educated. What do you hope to achieve in your time as president?
Number one, I have to safeguard the nation's wealth, our natural resources, our wealth must be safeguarded to protect it and to make it useful for future generations. That's at most, because without the resources, then it's very difficult to achieve prosperity. Number two, we must have wise, correct, and common sense policies. That is the duty of every government, in my opinion. After being an amateur historian, I studied the history of many civilizations. The key to every country's well-being and independence is the ability of every country to guarantee food for its people, food security. And I think this is also the realization of the United Nations. The United Nations several years ago said that the future global crisis will be three. What they say, the FEW, food, energy, and water. So likewise, in Indonesia, I have to guarantee food for my people. Number two, I have to guarantee energy for my people. And then water. Alhamdulillah, thank God, Indonesia, we have abundance of water. We have the other way around. Sometimes we have too much water, and then there's flooding, you see? And that's I would say that's our challenge, right? Like, we must manage our water, that it becomes useful. It doesn't become a natural disaster. And this is also a matter of education, matter of good governance. So that, and then of course, prosperity can only be achieved by the grasp of science and technology. Science and technology will enable us to industrialize. And so education, investment in science, technology, and in education is very important. In our budget, the number one, the highest item in our budget is education. I think it's the highest in the history of Indonesia. And then also I have rolled out a free meal for every children and every pregnant mother of Indonesia. So this is a massive program, very ambitious, but we are getting there. Sorry. At the end of 2025, we will provide meals for 82.9 million mouths by November 2025. So this is our program. We have to. I'm very determined to bring down poverty, especially extreme poverty, and I want to eradicate hunger. Nobody must go hungry in a nation that is a member of the G20. Thank you.
And finally, Mr. President, this year marks 75 years of Indonesia-Türkiye diplomatic relations. Both nations share a deep historical bond and strategic partnership. As we look ahead to 2050, which will mark the centenary of this partnership, how do you see that bilateral relationship evolving, especially in addressing shared global challenges?
I'm very optimistic in this case. I'm very bullish in the sense that Turkey has a special place in Indonesia, the Indonesian people, you know. Indonesia being majority Muslim, the Ottoman Empire being at that time accepted as the leader of the Islamic community. Relations go through many centuries. Many parts of Indonesia feel the influence of the Ottomans. Many cases we were attacked by foreign powers. The Ottomans came to the assistance of our sultans. So there's this emotional bond. And I think even now, President Erdogan told us that there are Indonesian tourists coming to Turkey, I think in the figure of 200,000 every year. 200,000 Indonesians will visit Turkey. Usually after they go on the Umrah.
Okay, so you've just been hearing there from the President of Indonesia, Mr. Subiarto, speaking to our colleague Oscar Sabakti, TRT World. That is the news for now. Stay with us here on TRT World.